What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Scott here and welcome back to FudgeMuppet. Today I'm going to be taking you through another Skyrim build, however this time I've got a modded one for you. It's called the Avatar and it's one of the most fun builds you can play from a combat perspective, especially due to the Ordinator perk overhaul. Speaking of mods, this build doesn't use a high amount. We're all waiting for mods to arrive for the various platforms Skyrim Special Edition is on, so with this video we're starting out light. We're going to be easing into it. We're also not going to hold ourselves back just for PS4, and even owning PS4s ourselves, we know it sucks, but for now we'll just have to deal with it. The first mod is the alternate start mod, which all platforms can get, so you'll want to choose the Came by Boat to Solitude option as it fits the backstory. We're also using the Ordinator perk overhaul as mentioned, which is available on PC and Xbox One. This perk overhaul gives the Avatar some ridiculously enjoyable dragon shout abilities and unarmed prowess, and if sending people flying off castle walls with your fists doesn't sound like fun to you, I'm not sure what would. By the way, this build gets its name from the backstory, which we'll get into after we talk about the race, the standing stone, and the stats. There are timestamps linked in the description as always. The Avatar is a high elf female with a unique twist that you can learn more about in the backstory. Her race offers a +5 boost to enchanting, which will be helpful to this build. The Avatar will use the Atronach standing stone. This stone is generally superior to the others for most builds, so knowing where to find this is pretty paramount. In case you weren't aware, it can be found just outside the mountain range between Riften and Windhelm. Look for the volcanic tundra near Elder Gleam Sanctuary and Darkwater Crossing. Anyways, the Atronach Standing Stone gives 50 points of magicka, which is relatively unnecessary for the Avatar, but more significantly it provides 50% spell absorption at the cost of -50% magicka regen. The loss of magicka regen is relatively inconsequential to the Avatar, so the ability to absorb 50% of spells cast at you for essentially no penalty is a must-have to keep her protected from pesky mages in the heat of battle. The Avatar's stat spread will be 50% health and 50% stamina. As mentioned, magicka isn't necessary to get the most out of the build, so a total focus on the other two options is recommended. 50% health will generally ensure the Avatar stays alive while she executes her close quarters frantic fighting style, and 50% stamina is given as her unarmed damage and ability to maintain mobility and frequent unarmed attack output is important for her playstyle. However, if this spread isn't ideal, you can always use enchanting to change the rationing to suit your personal experience. The Avatar was born in Alinor, the capital city of the province of the same name, also known as the Somerset Isles. She was born into a rich noble family with a significant influence in the politics of the Third Aldmeri Dominion. Her family are known Mer supremacists practicing the xenophobic nationalist traditions of the Aldmeri Dominion. Much like her family, the Avatar grew up with an immense sense of entitlement, living a decadent lifestyle free from adversity and worry. The bulk of her young life was spent in blissful ignorance. She was surrounded only by other wealthy, high-status Altmer and had little exposure to foreign cultures, her only real experience of them coming from the rare trips to Alinor's ports. During her youth, the Avatar became aware of a group of activists known as the Beautiful. The Beautiful aimed to destroy symbols of the Altmer bigotry. This began with the vandalism of monuments and sculptures, but they soon turned their attention to living representatives in the form of royalty and the upper class. This caused some paranoia among her community as the slowly increasing diversity in mainland Alinor increased the chances of being targeted. In a city described as being made of glass or insect wings, the Avatar was accustomed to the most beautiful sights and possessions one could dream of, but as with all great things, that eventually came to an end. It soon became clear that in order to save money, her parents had been breeding livestock outside of the pure Altmeri line. In the Thalmor-governed capital, this was punishable by exile to the mainland, and so they began their journey across the Somerset Isles to Firsthold. Along the way, shortly after leaving the small town of Rosefield, their carriage was ambushed by members of the Beautiful. Her parents were executed in cold blood, but in an attempt to make a statement to the upper-class supremacists of Alinor, they instead decided to make a symbol of the Avatar. One member drew a glass vial from her pocket filled with a powdery substance, and while two others held her down, she poured the contents into the Avatar's eyes. The Avatar had never experienced real hardship, but the pain inflicted by this corrosive power was enough to compensate for an entire lifetime of suffering. The Beautiful had claims that she would never be able to stare at her reflection in vanity again, and that the life of a blind beggar was the ultimate punishment for her crimes. She was humbled by her impairment, unable to look condescendingly or not at hurt anyone again. She lived in constant regret, wishing she hadn't been such a self-indulgent bigot, and she turned to her only remaining option, prayer. Eventually, she found her way to the city of Shimmerine and began begging on the streets. One day, she received a blessing from a preacher of Auriel. The priest told her to pray to Auriel, for he is the only divine who could save her forsaken soul. That evening, the Avatar was taken aback by what seemed like a glowing haze in the endless blackness of her vision. This was the first thing she had seen in years, and she was desperate not to let it go. She pleaded with the haze, begging it to speak to her, and in her moment of desperation, she sensed a particular presence. She was certain this is related to the priest's blessing, and she convinced herself that Auriel had chosen her to carry out his will. The haze's influence intensified, and she began sensing clear, unspoken communication between them. She followed what she believed to be Auriel's guidance and became his avatar, fulfilling tasks on his behalf. Each time she cooperated, she felt her vision slowly returning. She still couldn't see in any traditional means, but could sense motion and light in some inhuman way, a way which she couldn't describe. Auriel instilled a sense of urgency in the Avatar, convincing her that she must go to Skyrim to fulfill her true purpose. She navigated herself to the port of Shimmerine, and with whatever money that she could beg for, bought passage to Solitude. She didn't question the new senses and believed that she had done nothing to lose in this venture. Little did she know that Auriel had put her on a path to becoming the Dragonborn, the figure prophesied to save the continent of Tamriel. Upon docking in the port of Solitude, the Avatar could sense the magnificence of the harbour city. As she breathes in the crisp northern air, she decides it's time for a fresh start. Fate had taken away her ability to judge others by their race and their appearance, and she will adopt an attitude of redemption, focused on being good to everyone she meets and helping those in need. Whatever she would have done with a past life, she wants to rehabilitate in her new life. Her new humble, charitable mindset leads to a deep disdain for people who show the same vanity and superiority that she had once been so familiar with. Rather than dismissing them, however, she wants to share her experiences with them, giving them the capacity to change for the better as well, rather than risking the wrath of fate should they continue their destructive ways. Under the guidance of Auriel, the Avatar will follow the main storyline, fulfilling the duties of the Dragonborn. She will also complete the Dawnguard, Dragonborn, and Companions Guild questlines, adopting an open-minded but moral approach to all choices. While she is a morally pure character, she's able to see the good in people who may seem evil at first impression. If a Daedric prince were to have good intentions, like Meridia seeking to rid Skyrim of the undead, or Sanguine's drunken shenanigans, for example, she endears their positive intent and tries to assist in any way possible. Her own history is proof that even seemingly hopeless individuals have the chance to be good, if only they are lucky enough to be given that chance. She's attracted to the smells and sounds of Solitude and spent a lot of time here when not saving the world. She may even be tempted to enroll within the Bard's College, where she can apply her unique central experiences to the various art forms. If it is true that the loss of one sense enhances the others, the Dragonborn's avatar ability to shout is no surprise. Other than that, though, the key role-playing style is that the Avatar will undertake any task which involves helping others, even those who may seem undeserving of assistance, as long as those tasks don't conflict with her good moral compass. As for the Avatar's skills, spells, perks, playstyle, and shouts, we're excited because the Ordinator perk overhaul allows us to tackle playstyle from an entirely new angle, and the impact of these changes spans all aspects of gameplay, not just the perk trees. The Avatar will be able to take advantage of abilities that no Skyrim builds prior to this have been able to. The primary skills for this build will be light armor, speech, and enchanting. Smithing is an essential for the Avatar, as she will be able to improve her armor with enchantments like Fortify Unarmed, Fortify Health, Fortify Stamina, Magic Resistance, and others. Enchanting with the Ordinator perk overhaul will grant you the same benefits as vanilla Skyrim's middle tree, but with some variations. One of these being the Miracle perk, which means that your next enchanted item will have up to 3 enchantments, each of which being 50% stronger. So with the Miracle and Enchanting Potion, you can make a monstrous ring with 3 powerful enchantments, but we'll touch on that more in the gear section. Other important enchanting skills that will massively increase the potency of your enchantments include Gem Dust, Regalia, and Arcane Nexus. Gem Dust allows you to crush a flawless gem into a powder to be used to increase enchantments on items corresponding to that gem by 20%. And yes, the Avatar knows a thing about mysterious powders. Regalia adds a sense of regality to your enchantments, increasing them by 30% when applied to robes, circlets, and hoods. And lastly, Arcane Nexus allows you to permanently upgrade one enchanting table into an Arcane Nexus, giving you a 15% enchantment increase across the board. As for speech, the brand branch on the right side is the perfect pick for the avatar. This branch starts off with the extremely useful And the Universe Listens perk. As a build that focuses around shouts, the Universe Listens offers speech experience from shouting, and it also restores points in all stats equal to your shout cooldown in seconds. Next on the branch of this skill tree is the perk Windborn, which grants a shout 30% extra attack damage and the shouter 15% increased movement speed for 15 seconds. Needless to say, the avatar will be giving her vocal cords a workout. The Merciless Storm perk allows you to cancel a shout cooldown once per day. For powerful shouts like Storm Call, this is incredibly useful. You can use Storm Call, cancel it, and then switch to more standard shouts like Unrelenting Force. As mentioned before, the rest of the perks from the speech skill tree will be all of the others corresponding to that branch. The third and final main skill is Light Armor, and augmented by enchanting bonuses, this is the skill that will keep the avatar alive through the many perils she will face on her journey. From this Ordinator enhanced skill tree, you'll be able to take almost every perk with the exception of Scorn the Beast, Spell Dancer, Keen Senses, and As the Leaf. Some of the more notable undertakings from this tree include Iron Fist, Rushing Tide, Hissing Dragon, and Tempting Fate. Iron Fist fully optimized will offer an increased unarmed damage equating to 25% of current stamina. Therefore, maintaining high levels of stamina is important for the avatar. Additionally, this perk gives light armor experience when performing unarmed attacks. But don't go hiding behind a shield because this experience relies on both hands being free. Rushing Tide gives unarmed attacks 10% extra stamina regen and 5% more movement speed for 8 seconds. This also stacks, so throwing more punches will allow the avatar to build some serious momentum. Hissing Dragon adds some extra kick to your unarmed attacks. With this perk, they will release a shockwave of a certain kind of damage of your choosing. We suggest picking fire, as sun damage is limited to undead, whereas fire is consistently beneficial in most areas. Also, did I mention that this perk gives unarmed attacks the ability to send enemies flying into the distance? It's a pretty neat way to make an impact on your enemies, and that impact is ragdolling their body, crashing into cobblestones. Lastly, Tempting Fate grants plus 20% movement speed if you aren't blocking during an enemy's power attack and manage to evade it, and this effect will last until you get hit by another power attack. Just like Rushing Tide, these effects stack, allowing you to become incredibly evasive in combat. Gotta go fast. Don't worry about the defense. While these all seem rather offensive, the rest of the perks listed will give you plenty of defensive capabilities when needed. In terms of shouts, we know that the avatar relies heavily on her voice to compensate for the lack of eyesight on the battlefield, and thanks to the Ordinator perk overhaul, some standard shouts are totally reinvigorated. Some of the essentials include Dragon Aspect, Unrelenting Force, Cyclone, Ice Form, Slow Time, and anything else that allows you to avoid damage and help with crowd control. Unrelenting Force's first word is very useful as it allows the avatar to stack movement speed as you stagger enemies, thus triggering the effects of the Ward Dancer perk buff. With new perks, the possibilities are endless for capitalizing on all of the shouts in new and innovative ways. As for gear, the avatar will be decked out in a full set of elven armor with the main piece gilded. Combined with the rings and necklaces, there is plenty of enchanting potential. Some of the enchantments to invest in are Fortify Unarmed on the gauntlets and rings, Fortify Health, Fortify Stamina, Magic Resistance, other situational resistances, or potentially health and stamina regen, or Fortify Light Armor if you prefer. We suggest that you utilize the Miracle perk enchantment to create a ring named Aureol's Protection. We did this by using a gold sapphire ring with unarmed damage, magic resistance, and fortify stamina enchantments. Don't forget, as an unarmed fighter, stamina is really important to the avatar. It's also important to note that with the avatar's backstory in mind, there is an important aesthetic that needs to be taken into account during character creation. Her eyes should be completely white due to the fact that she's blind. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. If you like the avatar and want to see more modded builds in the future, show us some support by dropping a like and sharing this video with your friends. Both the Ordinator mod and the Alternate Start mod can be found in the mod section at the main menu. Be sure to subscribe to FudgeMuppet if you haven't already, and check the description for timestamps and links to our social media. I've been Scott, this was the avatar, and I look forward to nerding out with you again next time.